Shadows in the code, glitches in the grid. I'm Zero Dark Mind, digital detective. In today's case, we are going to be looking at StreamElements to Streamerbot migrator. This one is created by Mr. Boost. On that one, we're going to look into a couple of items, one of them being how do you set this up, and then, of course, how do we feel about the program itself. As we go into the program, one thing to mention is it does cost $10 for the migrator itself, and it's just to kind of bring over all of your active alerts and or migrate them from StreamElements. I will have the download link in the description, of course, for where to purchase the program if you do decide that you want to use it. But of course, feel free to watch this video as we go ahead and kind of set it up. And then after everything, you'll be able to determine if it is something that you want to get or not. So of course I did download the opening file, which does give you a local HTML. You just double click that and it opens up this page. This page itself does give you a little bit of information about what it does, how to use it, and important caveats. I do want to point out that these are indeed important caveats. The program itself is unable to extract third-party endpoints, anything with minified code. It is anything that is SE or StreamElements only APIs. It won't be able to do those or authenticate, as well as anything that is locked, encrypted, and or requires a verify of license. With that being said, we'll go ahead and scroll up to the top here. So the first step is to add this little button to your bookmarks bar. This itself is JavaScript. It is set up to run only on StreamElements.com. We did take a quick gander at the code just to make sure that it does what it says that it's going to do. And that did seem to check out. So what you'll do is just drag this little button, you'll bring it up to your taskbar, and then you'll have the shortcut right here on that one. Then what you're going to want to do is log into StreamElements. So when you're at the dashboard, you sign in. Once you're signed in, you're going to just left click this little icon here. Once you do that, there will be a little overlay that pops up on the right hand side here, and it should be able to see all of the overlays that you have created. I have already downloaded, of course, the file that I need, but what you would do is just click that check mark, click download, and then once it's downloaded, you would extract it and put it in a folder. And then, of course, remember the location of that folder because we will be referring to it as we continue. We'll go ahead and move on over to Streamerbot. All right, and as we move into Streamerbot, there's a couple of things that we want to check and just make sure these are going to be needed for this to work. I didn't find this in the instructions of the program other than light hints to making sure that the WebSocket server is enabled. So you will want to make sure that this is on by clicking the server status start. Down here, I would recommend auto start if you do plan on using this long term, as this will automatically turn on the WebSocket server. Chances are if you're using Streamerbot, you already have this enabled, but I do like to just mention it just in case. Then you're going to want to hop on over to the HTTP server. You're going to want to make sure that this one is set to automatically start as well, and then go ahead and start it. The defaults are fine. These don't need to be changed. If you do end up changing them, there is some extra steps that you would need to take to ensure that the routing does work. But by default, it should work with the current settings. Then you're going to want to head over to the mappings. Inside the mappings, what we're going to want to do is find the location that we extracted the folder to. In my case, I did go ahead and just put it on my portable here, and we want the top level folder. So that'll be just the top folder. You won't see the HTML folder here, but we're just going to make sure that it is the top folder. And then we're also going to need to give it a path name. This path name doesn't necessarily need to match anything on that one, so we will just call this wave on that one and go ahead and click add. And now that we got that added, we're going to go ahead and head over to OBS real quick. And in OBS, we're going to want to add a new source. This one is going to be a browser. We can just call it alerts. Since this is alerts, feel free to call it whatever you would like in relation to, of course, what you're using it for. And then we're going to make sure that it's not a local file. We're actually going to go all the way back here, remove the S as well on HTTP, and then we'll just do 127.0.0.1, and then we are going to do the port 7474. So that is the default. And then we're going to remember the name that we gave that top level, which in our case was wave. And then we're actually going to need the file name itself on that one. So this one is streamerbot-alert. So we will use that. And we will want the HTML at the end on that one. One thing I do like to do, since this alert was preset up for 1920 by 1080, I am going to use that same one. I want to be able to control the audio via OBS, so we'll click that. I want it to shut down when not visible and refresh when it becomes active. Just kind of keep it solid there. And now with that one said, I am going to send a test follow, but I have to set that up inside of Streamerbot. I got one here that I was using for testing. We'll just enable that real quick. With that enabled, we're going to go ahead and move this over the screen. That way we can see here. So I am just simulating a follow. And there we go. The follow itself did pop up in the screen. It is a little bit smaller, of course, but it does got that tunneling effect here on that one. But to be able to hear it as well, you do have to turn on the little headphones here, and then we'll go ahead and simulate again. And that's all that's to setting it up and kind of integrating it with the ones that do work. And heading back over to StreamElements, we are going to do a little bit of a cleanup with the program. I did notice that the program itself uses a token for the API calls, so we want to make sure that our account stays safe after using a tool like this on that one. What you'll do is just left click. Once you're in security, you're going to go ahead and want to reset my personal access token. That way, the token that it did previously have access to sign in using your name and password is reset. And that's just a little bit extra because I, of course, want to make sure that everyone is secure out there. And then go ahead and right click the little bookmark that we did have, and we'll go ahead and delete that. We don't need that anymore, and then we can delete, of course, the program in the HTML. Overall, I found that the program itself does use a personal token for the API calls. We did go over how to kind of self-harden your security by resetting that personal token. Definitely do suggest doing that. But if you are okay with the risk, of course, then there's no issue there. It was not as easy to set up as it was advertised. The drag and drop in the OVS versions 32.1.2 and up, when I did a local file and dragged it, that's all it did. It just created a local file. It didn't actually point to the HTTP server that you create with Streamerbot. So I didn't really like that as well. No customization after the export, so what you set up and export is what you get. All of the follow alerts, raid alerts, and everything that you set up is automatically triggered with the service itself. So there's not really a whole lot of way without actually going in there and manipulating the existing code to customize or even test out the followers and raids to see if it's working. No customization, right? So that is a big one for me. Hit or miss if the service will export it correctly. There's a lot of stuff that is on the element side that will make it so that it won't work if you export it. So of course they do have a workaround, which is to contact the developer if unsure. Ultimately, overall, if you are okay with just a quick export that has no customization, if you're okay, of course, with it using that personal token and then removing its access by rotating the key, then I would say that it's okay. I think that a $10 overhead is a bit much for a program that might or might not work, and I think that's why we're able to contact the developer if we're unsure. But overall, I would probably just recommend creating all of this stuff locally yourself, and or just kind of getting someone to do some artwork and stuff like that, and actually just have your files local and just set it up in Streamerbot locally. But completely up to you. This is, of course, if you do get it, the steps on how to get it going and some of the items that I noticed when I was setting it up and testing it.